Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk about a story that isn't told enough. It's the story of the unloved woman. Maybe she's felt overlooked, undervalued, or invisible. But let me tell you something right now, her story doesn't end there. Because within her lies untapped strength, unshakable resilience, and a brilliance waiting to be unleashed. Pain has a way of making us feel powerless. When a woman feels unloved, that pain can seep into every corner of her life, making her question her worth, her choices, and even her future. It feels raw, sharp, and isolating, as though the world has conspired to keep love out of her reach. But here's the truth: pain is not here to destroy you. It's here to transform you. It is the most undeniable sign that you are alive, that you care deeply, and that you have the capacity for extraordinary growth. Think about it, pain is energy. It's a surge of emotion that demands your attention. When you feel hurt, rejected, or invisible, it's your body and mind signaling that something within you is stirring, asking for change. That energy, though uncomfortable, is not your enemy. It's your guide. It's telling you that you're capable of more than you realize, that you are standing at the edge of a breakthrough. Too often, we are taught to suppress our pain. Society tells women to stay quiet, to endure, to pretend everything is fine. But the unloved woman cannot afford to silence her pain. If she buries it, it festers. If she ignores it, it grows louder. The secret is not to run from the pain, but to lean into it. To ask yourself, what is this pain trying to teach me? Where is it asking me to grow? Pain is not weakness, it's strength in disguise. Every great transformation begins with discomfort. The butterfly struggles to emerge from its cocoon, and in doing so, it builds the strength to fly. The same is true for you. The pain of feeling unloved is a cocoon. It's preparing you for your wings, for the freedom and joy that come when you step into your true self. This pain is also evidence of your capacity for love. You wouldn't feel this deeply if you didn't have a heart that longs for connection. That longing is not something to be ashamed of, it's a gift. It means you are alive, vibrant, and capable of giving and receiving love in ways that many people can only dream of. Your ability to feel pain is a reflection of your ability to feel joy, passion, and fulfillment. They are two sides of the same coin. And here's the empowering part: you get to decide what you do with this pain. You can let it define you, or you can let it refine you. You can let it pull you down, or you can let it push you forward. The choice is always yours. One of the most powerful things an unloved woman can do is to channel her pain into purpose. Think of the artists, leaders, and changemakers who turned their struggles into masterpieces. Their pain became their power. Maya Angelou, for example, endured incredible hardships, but she didn't let those hardships define her. Instead, she used them to fuel her voice, her poetry, and her advocacy. She transformed her pain into a force for change, and so can you. This doesn't mean the process is easy. It requires courage to face your pain, to sit with it, and to let it guide you. But remember, every time you confront your pain, you grow stronger. Every time you listen to what it's trying to teach you, you gain wisdom. And every time you choose to rise instead of retreat, you claim a little more of your power. Pain also has a way of revealing truths we might otherwise ignore. It shows us where we've been settling, where we've been holding ourselves back, and where we need to set boundaries. For the unloved woman, this might mean recognizing relationships that no longer serve her, letting go of people who cannot meet her needs, or discovering parts of herself she's long neglected. This clarity, though born from discomfort, is a gift. It's the first step toward creating a life that truly honors who you are. And here's the beautiful paradox: when you stop running from your pain, it loses its grip on you. When you embrace it as a teacher, it transforms. What once felt like a weight pulling you down becomes the very thing that lifts you up. The energy of your pain, when redirected, becomes the energy of your power. So to every woman who feels unloved, hear this: your pain is not a curse. It is a call to rise. It is the fire that will forge your strength, the catalyst that will propel you forward. You are not broken, you are in the process of becoming. And when you emerge from this process, you will be more powerful, more radiant, and more unstoppable than you ever imagined. Lean into your pain, because within it lies the power to transform your life. And that power, it's yours to claim. The greatest misconception about love is that it must come from outside of us. From the moment we're old enough to understand stories, we're told about the one, the soulmate, the person who will make us feel complete. For an unloved woman, this narrative can feel especially cruel. If love is supposed to come from someone else and that love isn't arriving, it can feel like something is fundamentally missing. But here's the truth that changes everything. Love doesn't start out there. It starts within you. Self-love is not just a buzzword or a fleeting trend. It is the foundation for every relationship you will ever have, including the one with yourself. When a woman feels unloved by others, it often stems from a deeper disconnection in the absence of love she gives herself. This disconnection isn't her fault. It's the result of years of societal conditioning that teaches women to prioritize others' needs over their own, to seek validation through external relationships, and to equate their worth with how much they are loved by others. But here's the thing, no one can truly give you what you aren't willing to give yourself. When you rely on someone else to fill your emotional cup, you give away your power. You're telling yourself, I need them to complete me. Yet the reality is this, you are already complete. The love you're waiting for from others is love you have the ability to provide for yourself right now in this very moment. Loving yourself begins with a simple but profound decision to treat yourself with the same care, compassion, and understanding that you would give to someone you cherish. Think about it. How often do you criticize yourself for not being good enough, pretty enough, or successful enough? How often do you put your needs last, telling yourself that everyone else's happiness is more important? Would you treat a friend this way? Would you speak to a child with the same harshness you direct at yourself? Self-love starts with challenging this inner dialogue. It's about recognizing the moments when you're being unkind to yourself and choosing to speak with compassion instead. Instead of saying, I'm not enough, you say, I am more than enough. Instead of dwelling on your flaws, you celebrate your strengths. It's a daily practice, a commitment to nurturing your emotional well-being, even when it feels difficult. And let's be clear, self-love is not selfish. It's the opposite. When you love yourself, you create a wellspring of energy and positivity that naturally overflows to others. You show up in relationships from a place of abundance rather than lack. You give love freely. Not because you're desperate for it in return, but because you're already full. When you begin to love yourself, something extraordinary happens. Your perception shifts. You stop chasing people who don't see your value because you no longer need their approval. You stop settling for less than you deserve because you understand your worth. You attract relationships, not just romantic ones, but friendships, partnerships, and connections that are rooted in mutual respect and appreciation. Why? Because the energy you put out reflects the energy you receive. Loving yourself also means setting boundaries. For the unloved woman, this can feel counterintuitive. She might think, if I set boundaries, people will leave. And if they leave, I'll be even more unloved. But the truth is, boundaries are an act of love. They say, I value myself enough to protect my energy, my time, and my heart. They create space for relationships that honor you instead of draining you. Self-love is also about celebrating your individuality. There's no one else on this planet like you. Your quirks, your strengths, your dreams, they're uniquely yours. Yet, how often do we try to mold ourselves into someone else's idea of perfection? How often do we dull our shine to fit in or gain approval? Loving yourself means embracing all that you are without apology. It means standing tall in your authenticity and knowing that you don't need to change to be worthy of love. And let's talk about forgiveness, because self-love isn't just about affirmations and confidence, it's about healing. Many unloved women carry the weight of past mistakes, regrets, and pain. They believe these scars make them unlovable. But the truth is, those scars are part of your story, and they do not diminish your worth. Forgiveness is the act of letting go, not just of others who've hurt you, but of the judgments you've held against yourself. It's about saying, I did the best I could with what I knew at the time, and I deserve to move forward in peace. Finally, self-love is an ongoing journey. It's not a destination you arrive at and check off a list. It's a daily practice of choosing yourself, even when it's hard. It's about prioritizing your mental, emotional, and physical health, not out of obligation, but out of reverence for the person you are. When you realize that love begins with you, everything changes. You stop searching for someone to complete you because you understand that you are already whole. You stop fearing loneliness because you've discovered the joy of your own company. And most importantly, you begin to live not as someone waiting for love, but as someone who embodies it. Too often, people allow the opinions of others to dictate their self-worth. For an unloved woman, this can be a particularly painful trap. When someone disregards her, rejects her, or treats her as though she's unworthy of love, it's easy to internalize those messages. But here's a vital truth: their inability to love you is not a reflection of your worth. You are not defined by their opinions. Let's start with this. Everyone views the world through their own lens, shaped by their experiences, beliefs, and limitations. When someone fails to recognize your value, it doesn't mean you lack value, it means they are incapable of seeing it. Imagine handing a masterpiece painting to someone who doesn't understand art. Their inability to appreciate its beauty doesn't make the painting any less extraordinary. The same is true for you. When you let other people's opinions define you, you give them power over your life. You become a prisoner to their judgments, constantly seeking their approval or trying to prove your worth. But here's the reality: you could do everything right by someone else's standards, and they might still find a reason to criticize you. Why? Because their opinion says more about them than it does about you. To break free from this cycle, you must recognize that your worth is inherent. It's not something that can be given or taken away by others. You are worthy simply because you exist. Think about this: when a child is born, no one questions their worth. We look at them and see their potential, their innocence, and their unique essence. That worth doesn't disappear as we grow older. It remains with us, even if life tries to convince us otherwise. One of the most liberating realizations you can have is that not everyone's opinion matters. In fact, very few opinions truly matter. Ask yourself, does this person genuinely care about my well-being? Do they have the wisdom and insight to offer meaningful feedback? Have they walked in my shoes and understood my journey? If the answer is no, then why would their opinion hold weight? Even the opinions of those close to us, family, friends, or partners, should not override our own sense of self. Sometimes even the people who love us project their fears, insecurities, or biases onto us. They might criticize your choices because they're afraid of change or because your growth makes them uncomfortable. But their discomfort is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to stay true to yourself. Here's another truth: the most successful, inspiring, and beloved people in history face criticism and rejection. Think of figures like Oprah Winfrey, who was told she didn't have the right look or demeanor for television, or J.K. Rowling, who faced countless rejections before publishing Harry Potter. If they had allowed others' opinions to define them, the world would have missed out on their brilliance. The same applies to you. When you let go of the need to be defined by others, you reclaim your power. You stop wasting energy trying to fit into molds that were never made for you. Instead, you focus on becoming the best version of yourself, on living a life that feels authentic and fulfilling. And here's the irony: when you stop seeking validation from others, you often find that respect and admiration come naturally. Letting go of others' opinions doesn't mean you ignore feedback or refuse to grow. Constructive criticism from trusted sources can be valuable. The key is to discern between feedback that helps you evolve and opinions that are rooted in negativity or misunderstanding. Listen to the voices that uplift and challenge you in healthy ways, and tune out the noise of those who seek to tear you down. Learning to detach from others' opinions is a process, not an overnight transformation. It requires building self-awareness and self-trust. Start by identifying the areas where you've allowed others' opinions to control you. Maybe it's the way you dress, the career you've chosen, or the relationships you pursue. Ask yourself, are these decisions truly mine, or have they been influenced by what I think others expect of me? Once you've identified these areas, take small steps toward reclaiming your autonomy. Wear what makes you feel confident, not what you think others will approve of. Pursue goals that ignite your passion, even if they don't fit someone else's idea of success. Surround yourself with people who celebrate your authenticity rather than trying to change you. Affirmations can also be a powerful tool in this journey. Remind yourself daily, I am not defined by others' opinions. My worth is inherent. I trust myself to make the best choices for my life. These affirmations, when repeated consistently, help to rewire your mindset and strengthen your self-belief. Ultimately, life is too short to live according to someone else's script. When you free yourself from the weight of others' opinions, you unlock the ability to live boldly and unapologetically. You stop dimming your light to make others comfortable, and you start shining as brightly as you were always meant to. Your value is not up for debate. It's not something to be negotiated or validated by external voices. It's a truth that exists within you, unshakable and eternal. The moment you recognize this, you step into your power and begin to live a life that's truly your own. Rejection is one of the most painful experiences a person can endure, especially for a woman who already feels unloved. When someone dismisses or walks away from her, it can feel like a confirmation of every doubt she's ever had about herself. The sting of rejection can be sharp, leaving her wondering, what's wrong with me? Why wasn't I enough? But what if rejection isn't the end of the road? What if, instead, it's a detour towards something better? Rejection at its core is a form of feedback. It's the universe's way of saying this path isn't for you. It doesn't mean you're inadequate or unworthy. It simply means that the situation, person, or opportunity wasn't aligned with your higher purpose. While this perspective might not lessen the immediate pain, it offers a crucial shift in mindset. Instead of seeing rejection as a door slammed shut, you can begin to see it as a doorway opening elsewhere. Let's take a closer look at why rejection often feels so personal. Human beings are wired for connection. When we experience rejection, it triggers feelings of isolation and loss, which can lead to self-doubt. But here's the truth: rejection is rarely about you as a person. More often, it reflects the other person's preferences, limitations, or priorities. Their inability to see your value doesn't mean you lack it. It means they weren't capable of appreciating what you have to offer. Consider this: every person who rejects you creates space for someone or something better to enter your life. If you're stuck in a relationship, friendship, or situation that doesn't serve you, how can you make room for what truly aligns with your values and dreams? Rejection, though painful, is often the catalyst for necessary change. It's life's way of pushing you out of your comfort zone and guiding you towards something greater. History is full of stories of people who turned rejection into redirection. Oprah Winfrey was fired from one of her first jobs in television, only to go on to become one of the most influential figures in media. Steve Jobs was ousted from the company he co-founded, only to return years later and lead Apple to unprecedented success. In each of these cases, rejection wasn't the end of their story, it was the turning point. For the unloved woman, rejection can feel like a confirmation of her fears. But it's essential to remember that every rejection is an opportunity to reevaluate and realign. Ask yourself, what is this rejection teaching me? How can I grow from this experience? Maybe it's a chance to strengthen your resilience, to clarify your boundaries, or to pursue a path that's more aligned with your true self. Rejection also forces us to confront our own beliefs about worthiness. It challenges us to decide whether we'll let someone else's decision define how we see ourselves. The truth is, no one else gets to determine your value. You are the only one who can decide how you perceive and carry yourself in the world. When you embrace this truth, rejection loses its power to diminish you. One of the most empowering ways to reframe rejection is to see it as protection. Sometimes we don't realize the harm we might have endured if we had stayed in a situation that wasn't right for us. The person who walked away, the job that fell through, the opportunity that didn't pan out, these might have spared you from greater pain or stagnation down the line. Trusting that rejection is a form of protection requires faith in the bigger picture, even when the immediate outcome feels painful. Rejection also offers a valuable opportunity for self-reflection. It invites you to look inward and ask whether you've been settling or compromising in ways that don't honor your true self. For example, were you trying to fit into a mold to gain someone's approval? Were you ignoring red flags in a relationship or situation out of fear of being alone? Rejection, while painful, often shines a light on areas where you can grow and make different choices moving forward. It's important to acknowledge that healing from rejection takes time. It's okay to grieve the loss of what you hoped for. Allow yourself to feel the emotions, anger, sadness, disappointment without judgment. But don't stay in that space indefinitely. Use the experience as fuel to rebuild, to refocus, and to rise stronger than before. Finally, remember that rejection doesn't define your journey, it redirects it. Each no brings you closer to the yes that truly belongs to you. Every closed door is an invitation to explore new paths, meet new people, and discover new opportunities. The road may twist and turn, but it's always leading you toward growth, self-discovery, and fulfillment. So when you face rejection, don't see it as an end. See it as a beginning. It's not a verdict on your worth, it's a step on the path to something far greater than you could have imagined. Rejection isn't about losing, it's about learning, growing, and ultimately finding your way to what's meant for you. For an unloved woman, the idea of love can feel fraught with confusion and pain. She may have internalized the belief that love is something that must be earned, something conditional, or something elusive that others seem to find effortlessly. But what if the definition of love she's been using is incomplete or even entirely wrong? Redefining love and connection is a transformative step toward healing and fulfillment. Love is often portrayed as a grand, all-encompassing feeling tied exclusively to romantic relationships, but this narrow perspective overlooks the countless ways love shows up in life. It's in the laughter shared with friends, the care of a parent or sibling, the wag of a dog's tail when you come home. Love is not confined to one form or one source. It's a vast and multifaceted experience. By broadening the definition of love, the unloved woman can begin to see that she is already surrounded by it in ways she might not have noticed before. Another common misconception about love is that it must always come from someone else. Many people believe that without a partner, they are somehow incomplete. But this belief creates dependency and places the responsibility for your emotional well-being on others. True connection begins with the love and care you give yourself. It's the act of showing up for yourself, listening to your own needs, and treating yourself with kindness and respect. When you cultivate this inner connection, you become less reliant on external validation and more grounded in your own sense of worth. Connection, like love, is often misunderstood. People think of connection as something instant and magical, a spark that either exists or doesn't. But real connection takes effort, vulnerability, and intentionality. It's not about waiting for someone to come along and understand you completely. It's about being willing to open up, share your truth, and create a space where understanding can grow. For the unloved woman, this might mean stepping out of her comfort zone, seeking new experiences, or building relationships from a place of authenticity rather than fear. One of the greatest obstacles to redefining love and connection is the fear of rejection. For a woman who feels unloved, the idea of putting herself out there, whether in friendships, romantic relationships, or even professional settings, can be terrifying. But here's the truth: connection requires courage. It's about being willing to risk vulnerability because the reward is worth it. Every meaningful relationship in your life will stem from the moments when you dared to be seen as you truly are. Part of redefining love is learning to let go of unhealthy attachments. Sometimes we cling to people or relationships that aren't good for us because they feel familiar or because we're afraid of being alone. But love isn't about possession or control. It's about freedom and mutual respect. It's about choosing people who uplift and support you rather than those who diminish your light. Walking away from toxic relationships is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself. The way we connect with others is often influenced by our past experiences. For many unloved women, early relationships, whether with family, friends, or partners, might have been marked by neglect, betrayal, or conditional love. These experiences can create patterns of behavior such as people-pleasing, fear of abandonment, or difficulty trusting others. But here's the good news: these patterns can be unlearned. By recognizing and understanding these behaviors, you can begin to rewrite the story of how you connect with others. Redefining love also means understanding that love is not perfect. Real love is messy and imperfect and sometimes challenging. It's not about finding someone who never makes mistakes, but about building relationships where mistakes are met with forgiveness and growth. It's about embracing the imperfections in yourself and others, knowing that they don't diminish the worth of the connection. One of the most empowering aspects of love and connection is the realization that you have the power to create them. You don't have to wait passively for love to find you. You can actively seek out and nurture meaningful connections in your life. This might mean joining communities that align with your passions, reaching out to someone you admire, or simply making the effort to strengthen existing relationships. Love is not something that happens to you, it's something you participate in. Redefining love also involves gratitude. When you focus on what's missing, it's easy to feel unloved. But when you shift your perspective to appreciate the love and connection that already exist in your life, no matter how small, you begin to see abundance where there once was lack. Gratitude creates a positive cycle. The more you recognize love, the more you attract it into your life. Finally, remember that love and connection are journeys, not destinations. They evolve over time, shaped by your growth and the choices you make. Redefining love means embracing this journey with an open heart, knowing that every step, whether joyful or challenging, is part of the process of creating a life filled with deep and meaningful relationships. Love isn't something you find, it's something you cultivate, both within yourself and with others. And in this cultivation, the unloved woman discovers that she was never truly unloved. For a woman who feels unloved, the idea of opening herself up to love again can seem daunting or even impossible. The scars of rejection, betrayal, or neglect may linger, creating walls around her heart to protect her from future pain. But while these defenses might feel safe, they also block her from experiencing the joy, connection, and fulfillment that love can bring. Empowering yourself to love again is not about forgetting the past, but learning to move forward with strength, wisdom, and self-respect. The first step in empowering yourself to love again is to acknowledge the pain of the past. Suppressing or denying your emotions doesn't make them go away, it only buries them deeper, where they can fester and affect your future relationships. Give yourself permission to grieve the losses, disappointments, and hard actions you've experienced. This process of acknowledgement is not a sign of weakness, it's a testament to your courage. Only by facing your pain can you begin to heal and grow stronger. Healing also involves forgiveness, not necessarily for others, but for yourself. Often, women who feel unloved blame themselves for the hurt they've endured. They replay past decisions, wondering if they could have done something differently to avoid the pain. But self-blame only reinforces the idea that you are unworthy of love. Forgive yourself for the mistakes you think you've made and for the times you allowed others to treat you poorly. Recognize that those experiences were part of your journey and they do not define your future. Another critical step in loving again is redefining what love means to you. Too often, people cling to an idealized or unrealistic version of love, a fairy tale romance, perfect harmony, or constant happiness. But real love is complex and multifaceted. It's about mutual respect, shared values, and the willingness to grow together. By letting go of unattainable ideals, you can approach love with realistic expectations, making it easier to build and sustain meaningful connections. Learning to love again also requires building trust, both in yourself and others. If you've been hurt before, trusting someone new might feel impossible. Start by rebuilding trust in your own judgment. Remind yourself that you've grown wiser through your experiences and that you are capable of making choices that align with your values and needs. Trust is a skill, not an innate trait, and it can be rebuilt over time with patience and practice. Boundaries are another cornerstone of empowering yourself to love again. In the past, you may have allowed others to cross boundaries because you feared conflict, rejection, or abandonment. But true love cannot thrive without mutual respect for each person's needs and limits. Take the time to identify what is and isn't acceptable to you in relationships and commit to honoring those boundaries. When you respect yourself, you attract others who will respect you as well. Empowering yourself to love again also means embracing vulnerability. Vulnerability is often misunderstood as weakness, but in reality, it's a profound strength. It takes courage to let someone see your true self, to share your fears, dreams, and flaws without the guarantee of acceptance. Vulnerability is the bridge to authentic connection, and while it carries the risk of pain, it also opens the door to deep, meaningful relationships. Self-love is the foundation of all other forms of love. If you don't value and care for yourself, it becomes difficult to build healthy relationships with others. Empowering yourself to love again starts with cultivating self-compassion. Speak to yourself kindly, celebrate your achievements, and treat yourself with the same care and respect you would offer a loved one. When you love yourself, you set the standard for how others should treat you. A key aspect of loving again is recognizing that love is not a finite resource. Just because you've experienced heartbreak doesn't mean you've used up your chance at love. Love is abundant, and it exists in many forms: romantic, platonic, familial, and self-directed. By opening your heart to these various expressions of love, you create a life rich in connection and joy. Growth is an essential part of empowerment. Use the lessons from your past experiences to identify what you want and need in future relationships. What qualities are most important to you in a partner? What patterns do you want to avoid? Reflecting on these questions helps you approach love with intention and clarity, reducing the likelihood of repeating past mistakes. Finally, empowering yourself to love again means embracing hope. It's about believing that love is possible, not just in a romantic sense, but in every area of your life. Hope doesn't mean ignoring the challenges or risks. It means choosing to believe in the possibility of joy, connection, and fulfillment despite them. When you hold on to hope, you give yourself permission to dream, to try, and to open your heart once more. Every woman who has felt unloved carries the strength to love again. That strength is born from her resilience, her growth, and her willingness to embrace the beauty of life despite its challenges. Empowering yourself to love again is a journey, but it's one worth taking, as it leads to a life filled with deeper connections, greater joy, and the realization that you are and always have been worthy of love.